Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
Very, very awesome.
Yeah, that would probably, satisfy my appetite for that. But I really think, as great as First Blood is, it's a classic. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. But you read the book, and you say, "Wow, what if?"
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So, wow, that's really cool. That sounds really neat. I can't wait to see that.
I would like to see Nothing Lasts Forever with Bruce Willis now.
They could do it.
They could do it.
Yeah. The only thing I would want
like
is for
movie,
Bruce. Yeah.
Nothing Lasts Forever. It was there was another movie. I think someone pointed out Frank Sinatra was tied to it.
Well, Frank Sinatra, Nothing Lasts Forever was a sequel to this book Roderick Thorpe had written called The Detective.
Yeah.
And they made The Detective with Frank Sinatra.
Mm-hmm.
So Frank Sinatra actually had first right of refusal to any movie that was going to be made using that character from The Detective. So when Die Hard was going into production, they had to ask Sinatra first, even though he was in his 70s at the time. And of course Sinatra said no.
Imagine that.
Yeah. But I would love to see Bruce Willis do Nothing Lasts Forever, but he would have to wear a toupee.
I'm down with that.
Because even when he makes these new Die Hard movies,
it'll be like
he's got the shaved head, and it doesn't look like John McClane to me.
No.
It looks like Bruce Willis.
I found the last couple of them I didn't even like.
Yeah.
I think it was the fourth one didn't feel like Die Hard to me. The only part.
Well, that was the one where he was jumping on planes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That movie had sequences that felt Die Hardy, but by the time they got to, I guess it was Washington at the end of the movie, and he's jumping on jets and stuff, it was too much. And then the one in Moscow was just...
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
Oof. Yeah.
There was only, I think, two parts. In the fourth one, the part that felt like Die Hard to me was when he's, when they're in the tunnel, and he starts talking to himself.
Yeah.
And he sends the car off on the chopper. And then the other one, when he's in traffic and he punches out the guy.
Yes.
Those are the only two parts I felt like Die Hard.
Yeah. The ending I remember feeling a little Die Hardy.
Yeah.
And Timothy Olyphant was a great villain too.
Yeah.
I can still watch that movie and have fun with it, but it's really funny because I have everything up through Live Free or Die Hard, and that whatever the set they put out was around the time that the Moscow one came out, and I sat down and watched them all, and for me the drop off is pretty severe between Die Hard and the sequels.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Like for me it's 1, 2, 3. You know.
I would agree. A lot of people think that 3's better than 2, but I just don't see it.
Like, I got to see 3 in the theater when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
It was like one of the first movies I saw with the Dolby Digital with the, you could hear the bullets whizzing by your head and stuff.
Yeah, that's wild.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's funny. For a long time, I really didn't hold Part 3 in any regard, and I hate to admit this, but the reason why was because the first time I saw that movie was at a house party on bootleg.
Oh yeah.
And this was one of those old school set up the camcorder in the theater bootlegs.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So it's a terrible way to watch a movie for the first time.
Yeah.
And I really felt bad about not liking the movie because I was like, I saw it in such a shitty presentation the first time I saw it, and my appreciation of it has since grown a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think there's just a lot about that movie that doesn't work for me.
But yeah, that Die Hard's still one of my favorite Christmas movies.
It really sort of created another template. You know what I mean? There's you can't even imagine where action movies would be if we didn't have, I would say, from you could almost say Escape from New York through Terminator 2.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what's that, like 1980 to 1992, to like 12 years?
I got to see T2 in the theater also. My cousin snuck me into that. That like threw me through the loop.
I was working a job at that point because I had just finished high school, and I was working a job, and I took off from work that day. Me and my brother, we both took off from work to go see that movie because we were so amped for Terminator 2 because we had sort of grown up watching the Terminator. My aunt and uncle, they showed it to us, way earlier than we probably should have seen it, and I just couldn't wrap my head around that they were making a sequel, and then T2 blew my mind, and I really think that, like, the influence that movie's had on action movies in general can't be underscored, and I think a lot of people forget about it, but I mean, even if you watch, like, The Matrix, the first Matrix, you see a lot of, it feels like a Cameron movie at certain points.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, say what you want about James Cameron, that dude knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even on paper, like reading First Blood Part 2, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
It makes you wonder how it would have went,
Yeah, yeah.
So everything he touches, man, like True Lies, amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Terminator, even Avatar. I liked Avatar.
It's funny, I didn't see Avatar until home video, and I don't even remember, for various reasons, I didn't get to see it in the theater. And I was watching Avatar, and by the end, I was on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
Closer to the screen, like, because he was building things in a way that you couldn't wait to see what happened. And I mean, take away the whole, Pocahontas with wolves, or whatever you want to call it, it's just such a well-executed
Oh, yeah,
movie.
it's such a progressive feature.
Yeah.
I went to see that opening weekend. I was actually lucky enough that I got to be on, like, CTV News for that.
Oh, cool.
They were doing, like, mini interviews. I looked horrible, but... but it was just such a cool cinematic experience with the 3D.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wow. I can't wait to see what they do with the other ones.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. Like, I'm not, like, an anti-3D guy. I won't see a lot of movies in 3D. I'll go see them if they were made at 3D. And if you see a really good filmmaker utilizing 3D, like, I don't know how you feel about Prometheus, but
Prometheus.
Yeah, the 3D in Prometheus was some of the best 3D I've ever seen in terms of how it was utilized.
Yeah.
And of course Ridley Scott's going to do awesome 3D. It's like, why did he even doubt that?
Don't they have a re-release of Alien coming out? The original Alien coming out this year?
Post-converted, I think, right?
Yeah, in 3D?
Yeah.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, yeah.
And Alien just got greenlit, yesterday?
Yeah, that's going to be crazy from the District 9 guy.
Yeah. Watching his last one,
Elysium?
Yeah, I felt like I was watching Aliens. A lot of it...
Really?
A lot of it had that Aliens kind of feel to it.
Like that tech?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't wait to see how that goes over.
The weird thing, though, is, and I know, like, a couple weeks ago, he leaked a whole bunch of his production artwork.
Yeah.
And they had, like, a battle-damaged, aged-out Michael Biehn. I hope that's real.
Well, I think, yeah, me too, definitely. Because, first of all, it would skew the timeline.
Well, yeah, I never felt like Part 3 was fair. And you can say that James Cameron didn't leave the writers of the next movie a lot to work with by putting Newt and Michael Biehn and Sigourney Weaver all in the cryostasis. But I also thought killing them on landing was such a disservice to
definitely.
the fans, to the actors. So, man, when I saw that production art, and that was clearly Michael Biehn, I was like, oh my god, yeah, and hey, I'm all for skewing the timeline.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, also, too, because in Prometheus and Alien versus Predator, it conflicts because they have Whalen in both.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, and with the whole Bishop connection and everything. And there's actually, I think it was on Books and Nachos, I saw this.
Those guys are great.
Yeah, they had the old. I can't remember who wrote it. It was kind of like the sequel before they did Alien 3. It was like what they were thinking of doing before Alien 3.
William Gibson.
Sorry?
William Gibson?
It might have been William Gibson. And they had it like on Earth with Newt and Hicks on Earth.
Yeah.
And then they did a comic book series, I think, after.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if this ties into that in any way.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's cool. It's still possible to get excited about an alien movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Even after we've been let down so many times.
Since 1993.
Yeah. So, hey, tell me more about this this train movie with Sly.
I think
I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah, I've been trying to find so much stuff. There's only maybe like 4 sites I found so far.
Yeah, I saw one thing that sort of they were pitching it as like a Poseidon Adventure or like one of those Irwin Allen movies from the 70s that had like those all-star casts.
Yeah, it was kind of like Alien on a Train.
Yeah.
It was Kim Basinger, Stallone, Roland Emmerich, Steven D'Souza. And the original 80s version was pitched by Ridley Scott and H.R. Giger.
Wow, that's...
Yeah. That's amazing.
I really hope you're able to track down a script for that.
Yeah, if I have to, I'm going to buy one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's wild. It's amazing how many untapped resources there are out there. You know, I mean, if you look at like what David Morrell's been doing with his catalog, releasing it in ebooks and stuff, and
yeah,
you know, he sees the value of sharing his works.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, you're paying for it, but still, I mean, there's a lot of authors that either don't own their work or couldn't be bothered to get it in print for people. So it just seems like it would make so much sense for whatever studio owns that script. Put it on Amazon for $1.99.
Exactly. And he's going. I think I heard the other day he's going on tour. He's gonna be touring now, but also too because it's so cheap. Like, I think, you know, all 3 Rambo books I got were like $17 for all 3.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that's like 24 hours of Rambo right there. Like,
yeah.
24 hours. And it's completely different than, you know, if you've only seen the movie, then you're in for surprise after surprise.
Yeah.
You know? Like having the sequel, they bring back VC Commander from the first one. And you don't see him in Rambo First Blood Part 2, but he is menacing. Like, far more menacing than what we saw before. Yeah.
The whole concept of David Morrell being involved in the novelizations is still so cool to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so cool to me that he was game enough to do it.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's such a rare concept to see.
Yeah.
You know? And it's so cool. I mean, I think his perspective on Rambo, cinematically, is such a great outlook, because a lot of authors, they'll sort of take the money, and then after a couple of years, they won't mind slagging the movies. Whereas I don't think I've ever read or seen an interview with David Morrell where he's talked those movies down.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, it's